husband thinks I cheated and wants a paternity test, but there's something he doesn't know.
I actually did cheat.
Hey, same banter point, baby. Is that the telepathic connection that we want,
It's the
Sam?
telepathic connection we have, and that we should be grateful for. The more you know.
My 24 female husband, 31 male, and I have 3 children. Our son looks exactly like him, dark skin and dark eyes and hair, but our daughter does not. She looks exactly like my great-grandparents, really pale, blonde, and green-eyed. But apparently, he didn't think it was possible that our daughter could look like my great-grandparents.
Bro,
What do we always say, Sam? What do we always say?
Genetics. You can open up a biology textbook, baby.
And from the moment he saw her, he told me that he wanted a paternity test. Wait, are we talking like straight out the, just like
out the womb. This is not mine.
At first, I refused because I felt like it was humiliating and because I didn't think it was necessary because I never cheated on him and I hoped he would trust me, but he didn't.
Yeah, right. You think he'd trust you?
Bro, you only have children together in a marriage. Like, why would he ever trust you?
Bro, when you got a gilf like that running around, you can't trust no one.
And for the first 2 months of our daughter's life, he made my life a living hell. He didn't want to hold her, even if she cried desperately while I was doing something else. He never woke up at night to help me with her. He never helped me with anything, and that hurt me so much.
You can't fault him for being a deep sleeper. Come on.
And with our boys, he was completely different. He helped me all the time with absolutely everything, and he was always there for me after giving birth. But this time, he left me alone, and it was the worst experience of my life. It's like just like not even engaging, There's just something about that's just like so cold.
Wrong.
You look like a frog.
My butt hurts. I'm going to do it like this for the rest of the episode.
Do you have any pillows?
I got 2 pillows right here, baby.
Dude, we don't have enough. We don't have enough meat.
Hey, speak for yourself.
In a trunk, that is. I have no family here, and his entire family, from the moment they saw my daughter, turned their backs on me. I don't have any friends here either, so it was just my daughter and me. She is a colicky baby, so it was very difficult for me to do everything alone, and on top of that, help with our sons. I decided to do the paternity test because one day his entire family came to our house to celebrate my son's birthday, and nobody spoke to me. And they didn't want to include my daughter in the photos that my in-laws took of the grandchildren.
Why is the whole family on board? Do they also not know how genetics work?
Apparently, maybe the husband, took his little kernel of something and spun this crazy elaborate tale. So I knew it was stupid to keep waiting for them to come to their senses. Well, the paternity test came back.
And obviously he's the father.
And that paternity test was not negative. It was positive. And everyone was shocked. And of course, they felt guilty for not believing in me. Everyone apologized. And my husband even cried when he held our daughter in his arms for the first time. And I know that his apologies were genuine. And that's why I forgive him. But I don't know if I can forgive his family.
Dang. Wait, you can forgive him, but not his family? He was probably the one spreading the lies to his family.
They treated me really badly and said horrible things about me just a few days after giving birth. And I can't forget their insults or violence. My husband knows that I don't want to see his family, nor do I want them anywhere near any of our children. And he told his family. So these last few months, it's just been the 5 of us. But it doesn't feel as good as I expected. My husband is constantly apologizing and crying every time he holds our daughter, and I'm getting tired of the situation, which I could see, it's just
like stop crying, you little whiny baby.
Where?
You're a big
I thought
old
you cheated.
Baby.
I want us to be happy as we were before. So how can we move on? My husband suggested that we should start couples therapy. How much can therapy really help?
It can help a lot.
Yeah, I think it can.
I mean, that's what therapy's for. It's for helping a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. Having someone outside of the perspective that's done it 100 times help you do it.
Literally, that is what therapy helps.
There were some comments. What exactly happened with the violence? Why haven't you taken your children back to your family? His sister pulled my hair during a fight. A one-sided fight, by the way, as I never responded to her insults. And his mother also did it on another occasion. I'm planning to go visit my family in a few months. Yo, they literally fought her.
No one just does that off rip, looking at a kid.
And no one had the information of biology 9th grade textbook, apparently.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got together with your husband? I was 18. Has he ever mistrusted you for no reason or refused to listen to you before? Is this a common occurrence? No, this was the first time. And how old were you when you had your first kid? 19 years old.
How old is OP now again? 20 something?
24. Ooh, and he's 31.
Come on, man. Like,
You're
dude,
old enough, bro.
Old enough. You are a grown man. But we have an update.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think before I update, I should clarify a few things in context. I know I should have said it originally, but I didn't. And that many people believe some things that aren't true. Before I got pregnant, I met a man. I think he's in his early 50s at work. And you could say that he's a little too friendly. Okay, so maybe...
Wait. So,
met a man.
okay. All right.
We've met so far. For example, he liked to buy me and another female coworker, she's in her late 50s, coffee every morning. Or once in a while, he used to leave a flower on our desks and things like that. That never seemed strange to me because he never tried anything with us. He was always just friendly. And he was always talking about his wife, children, and grandchildren and giving us parenting advice. Well, here we go, Sam. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
My husband did not like that I was friends with this man because he said that he was sure that this man liked me because I'm young and that he would soon try something on me. And when he told me that, I told him that I wouldn't stop being friends with him because he was always respectful and I didn't see anything wrong with being friends with a man. And I'm not gonna lie, he got really angry, but after a few days, he forgot about it.
This is probably where some of his trust issues originate.
But all those doubts resurfaced when our daughter was born because she had a lot of platinum blonde hair, which neither of our other children, 5 and 4 male, had. And my husband thought that she would look like her brothers, but no, she looked completely different from him and me, and that made him doubt. My coworker is not blonde, but he has the same eye color as our daughter, and he's pale like her. So my husband asked me for a paternity test and I refused because it was humiliating and because I thought that at least he would educate himself about basic biology, but he didn't and refused to do so. And when I say this, I mean that my great-grandparents look exactly like my daughter. Same hair color, eyes, skin.
Show some pics to this nerd.
He always knew this, but decided to ignore it and believe that I was cheating on him. And I know that I helped the situation escalate and end badly because I should have accepted the paternity test. And I say this because here it is not easy to do a paternity test without the authorization of both parents. I don't know that she's necessarily at fault for, once you bring up the paternity test, what does it imply? It implies you not only cheated, you not only had a child with another person, but that you're like lying about it and trying to pass it off as their kid. So it's
a serious accusation.
And regarding his sister and mother, they never liked me. And for a while, we even stopped having contact with his family because I didn't like the way they treated me. But when our second son was born, I felt alone because it was just my husband, his friends, and our son. And I wanted my children to grow up with a family. So we got back in touch with them. And in fact, they treated me very well up until my daughter was born. And when they pulled my hair, my husband wasn't present and I didn't tell him until a few weeks later. And by then they had a big fight because of that. I swear that he was never violent, nor did he ever endorse anyone being anything like that with me. Well, the update is I gave him an ultimatum. I told him that I want to go live in my home country and be close to my family, and that if he didn't want that, then the only option would be getting divorced.
Wow. So we're going all the way to divorce now.
Divorce. When I told him that, I also told him that I'm talking to a lawyer to advise me on a divorce and joint custody. She is not playing around.
Digging in.
And I guess that made him realize that I was being serious because he said he would be willing to do that to earn my forgiveness. Another thing I asked him is to cut off contact with his family forever because I don't want our children to suffer what I suffered with them. And he agreed.
Dang. Okay. So I wonder if she thought he wouldn't do that. And this is her way of more easily getting a divorce in terms of him agreeing to it. I wonder if she thought he wouldn't have said yes.
At the moment, our plan is to travel for Christmas and stay there for a few weeks and move in the middle of next year. In the meantime, we will go to couples and individual therapy and hope to be able to solve our issues. So far, things are going well, and I hope that they continue that way. Edit. I don't understand why there are so many people accusing me of being a terrible wife, not supporting my husband when he told me to stop talking to my coworker. I've supported him since we started dating. I moved to a different country as a teenager. I left behind my family, friends, and everything I ever knew, all for him. I didn't go to college until last year because he was doing his PhD and I had to stay home with the kids full time, which is why I could never have a single friend here. Because since I arrived here, my only duty was to be a mother and a housewife, and that consumed all of my time. I got my first job when I was 23, and it was only because the kids were old enough to go to kindergarten. So don't say that I don't support him, because that's the only thing I've been doing since we started dating. This was the first time that I had friends here, even though those friends were both over 50, and it felt good because there were days where I felt so alone and talking to them at work made me feel good. But for him, that was wrong, and when my daughter was born, I quit my job I liked so much just so that he would have to stop feeling insecure. So don't jump to conclusions or say stupid things. There are some more comments. This was one more response to the downvoted people who think she's going too far and cutting them off. His family rejected my daughter since she was born. They pulled my hair during a one-sided fight when I was holding my daughter. Okay, that also adds to it.
While holding. Wow, that's bad.
Yes, that's bad. They mistreated me when I was pregnant with my first child, so why should we keep in touch with people who don't respect his wife or his daughter? And that is it.
Dang. I think definitely going no contact. I mean, like, I understand a little bit more why going no contact with the family, just because like they literally assaulted her. But the husband stuff is like, I don't know if he should be excused either.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like her deal to him is like, we go back to my home country, we cut off contact with your family, and I'm also just like, I wonder if we say this often, it's like, is a relationship from an ultimatum really that great?
Yeah,
you know?
is that solid ground to build off of? I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, OP was very quick to forgive him.
Feels too quick, suspiciously quick. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments if you would forgive your husband if this was your husband so quickly.
Yeah. Here's my question. Is OP the a-hole for proposing this ultimatum?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think like OP went through a lot, not just with this whole ordeal with the baby, where she was 100% innocent the whole time. Also,
it does feel like she's using the leverage of this moment to move back to a place where she's more comfortable.
Right. So yeah, you could definitely say that.
Which I don't know if it's an asshole move, but it is a move.
And maybe one question I kind of have too is, one thing that's kind of running through my mind is like, it doesn't necessarily repair the trust that was broken.
Yeah.
In the relationship.
Like moving countries is like, it's not like, it's like, oh, having a kid is going to save the relationship, or getting married is going to save the relationship. Like, I don't know if moving a country is going to save the relationship.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below what you think. And by the way, if you have your own story, if someone maybe accused you of cheating and having a child with someone else, we have a call line for it, don't we, Sam?
Call us at 440-508-6567. We'd love to hear from you.
Speaking of stories, should we get into another one?
Let's do it. I gave birth to a biracial baby. My husband thinks I cheated and doesn't want the child. And then he said the unthinkable.
Once again, 9th grade biology. That is you know what? You could only take this baby home if you can answer these like 5 questions that would be on a 9th grade biology quiz.
My soon-to-be ex-husband, Eric, spoilers, 40 male, and I, 38 female, were high school sweethearts, and we grew up in a small town where the majority of the population was white. Eric is white, and while I am not a typical-looking white woman, I have enough features that I could be considered white passing. However, I recently discovered I am mixed race, which will be important later. We're getting some foreshadowing in here. If you know what's coming, put I see you in the comments. So Eric and I got married after I graduated high school. I became pregnant when I was 26 and had fraternal twins, now 12, EJ, male, and Natalie, female. As the twins got older, EJ started to look like Eric, blonde hair, albeit curly, and fair skin. And Natalie started to look like me, dark, wavy hair. But her skin would get darker, like she had a permanent tan. Eric and I were confused by this because no one in our families had a skin complexion like this. Something
Where are we going?
Is amuck.
Where are we going?
Eric became a cop after college. When the kids were 7, Eric got a chance for promotion, which moved us to the city. I started to notice that Eric would make prejudiced comments against certain communities of people that I would shrug off because they were not overtly offensive. Don't shrug that off. A little bit of a red flag.
Yep.
One of Eric's coworkers noticed a picture of EJ and Natalie and asked if Natalie was adopted, as she had African-American features, and suggested that I might have had an affair after conceiving with Eric, as it was possible that twins could be fathered by two different men.
Wait.
We love those coworkers, don't we? Those coworkers with nothing but good intentions, right?
It only just hit me now. Not only are we talking about someone accusing of cheating, but two children where OP is like, what one is mine, but is that possible? Maybe I would fail the 8th grade, but
it is possible.
That is possible. Okay, I honestly was not 100% aware of that. Maybe I need the 9th grade biology test.
You need the 9th grade biology test. This planted the seed of doubts. All you need is a seed, and then it grows. By the time the twins were 11, Eric couldn't hold his doubt anymore and demanded a paternity test. He explained his doubt, so I obliged. The test came back as Eric being Natalie's father, but he would act distant towards Natalie. One day, I was using Eric's phone because mine died to look for a oh no. Put ICU 2 if you saw the first ICU and now you see the second ICU. To look for a recipe for dinner and came across a support forum where Eric was convinced I slept with a black man and was making awful comments about black people and that I somehow altered the DNA test results. Yikes. I was furious and confronted Eric. He said there was no way Natalie could be his and demanded another DNA test. I agreed to prove him wrong. And once the test came back, we contacted my parents because I was genuinely confused about where Natalie's features came from because my parents were white. After dancing around the topic, my mom confessed that my dad was not my real dad and my real dad was biracial.
Whoa.
After looking, so does the dad know? Does OP's dad know?
Right.
Because the mom told.
Right.
After looking at an old picture, my dad looked white at first glance, but the longer you looked at him, the more you could see his African-American side. I happened to not inherit those genes. This seemed to appease Eric, but I could not forget the comments Eric made about black people and told him I wanted a divorce.
Divorce.
He apologized and said he couldn't understand at the time, but I told him that it was disgusting, that was what he thought about that community, and I refused to raise my children in an environment that fostered and normalized negative thoughts about any community. Eric and my parents tried to get me to rethink my decision and go to counseling. I agreed to go to counseling, but I am not changing my mind about divorcing him. Wow. And so, John, there is a big juicy update on October 16th, which is not too long ago.
That is true.
I'm not sure what you guys mean my mom lied to me. While she never outright told me someone else was my biological dad, I never questioned it, so it never came up. She told me she would tell me the truth if I ever asked. And everyone, my grandparents and dad, knew and agreed to tell me the truth if I asked.
So everyone kind of knew.
Everyone knew, except OP.
For OP.
That's crazy.
I could see not telling her while she's like a child, maybe, but like after she's been an adult, like
it seems a little weird to not tell your daughter that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because maybe you would avoid things like this.
Yes. Great point.
Not all prejudice is negative, guys. The prejudice comments my husband made was saying a kid would be great on track after seeing them run and they happen to be black, or that a kid would be a good businessman one day if they were Middle Eastern.
This husband just throwing me for loops left and right and back again.
It didn't mean anything at the time due to my cultural ignorance. With that, my husband gave me no indication he had certain feelings against other communities. So stop with, you were okay with him being racist until it was you. When I said he was distant with Natalie, he didn't treat her like dirt. He felt disconnected because he had doubts she was his and wasn't affectionate. Otherwise, still interacted. So my husband found out about the Reddit post and was mortified because he didn't realize how his behavior made him look. He also says he appreciates the comments that cut him some slack. Anyways, he booked a session with a counselor at his job. He found out that cops have on-site therapists for us to go to. We got straight into the issue. The counselor asked why the comments bothered me so much, and I told her that I've seen so many innocent people suffer from hatred for something they didn't do and how it makes people act way out of character. The degrading and harmful things people would do and say to others based on a characteristic they can't control and treat them like they were less human. My husband asked if I think he hates me and the kids. I told him, I don't know. When it was his turn, he confessed to having an inferiority complex to black men, about how he thought black people were more physically attractive and gifted, and that girls would have more crushes on the black boys.
Goodness gracious.
So he's actually super not racist and just jealous.
You know what? This guy, I will give it to this guy. He is just a complete enigma. In all of the 2000 stories, like you don't know what move he's going to make
You
next.
never know. You never know. It's not that I'm racist, babe. It's just that I love black people so much, I'm insecure. He said how it hurt that none of the girls would look at them, the white boys.
Jesus Christ.
So the boys look for compensating factors that would make them more desirable. Having money, getting careers, not being involved in illegal activity, etc. And it turned into this ugly thing of why like him when I have this. I was floored. I asked him if he was like this when we met, and he said yes, but I never triggered his insecurities because I didn't pay attention to them or talk to them. But it was always in the back of his head. He was worried I would leave him for them, so he started working out, playing sports, and buying cologne to keep up with them.
Keep going. Keep going.
The counselor asked about the comments, and he said that he was looking for validation of his feelings as being good enough. When he considered the thought of me cheating, he couldn't understand how I could choose a menace to society over him.
Yep.
What? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That has provided for his family and given us a home. I was numb because I didn't think he felt this way. Okay, like the racism is pretty deep on this one.
Yes, it absolutely is.
I mean, like we already kind of like saw that coming, but
yeah,
like it's just it also doesn't it feel like the wife's giving him like a little bit of a break?
Yeah, because again, we say this many times. We said it, I think earlier in this episode, when you bring the paternity test into the equation, it's just such a question of their character and like
but it was also
breaks the
like
foundation of trust.
The thing that was weird, it was she was like, oh yeah, like he's not racist, he's like good racist, like the Middle Eastern people will have good businesses or whatever the thing
exactly
Yeah.
like that's the thing is like so many times when someone has such a warped view, there might be one take or whatever, if you want to call it that might seem to be directed in a positive area when actually their entire view of a person is warped.
Exactly. So at least she's getting more evidence of it being bad in this therapy session. I told Eric that I want him to write a detailed, heartfelt apology letter to the community he offended. Is that being sent somewhere? Or?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if that fixes it, bro.
No. And this is another case of like, we thought it was one thing, but actually that's the tip of the iceberg. And what's the whole?
Yeah.
This is just one piece of the iceberg that we're uncovering here right now. What else is there? She had rose-colored glasses this whole time, but those were all red flags in the past.
He is not to tell me what it says or show me, but to write it and then post it anonymously. If strangers can forgive him and push him forward to help be better, then I can too. Okay. After getting home, Eric wrote the letter, then posted it after proofreading it again and again. He's currently waiting for the comments, and in all honesty, it was enough to make me rethink divorcing him. One essay, and you're like,
Oh.
he's a changed man. He's not off scot-free, but I really appreciate the effort. If anything significant happens, I'll update again. Edit. Forgot to include this, but I have not forgotten the comments. And while he gave some explanation, we will talk more in depth after this. I did not magically forget the things he said. The session made me realize he at least has some remorse. So we're starting there. Second edit, shaking my head. The messages are already flowing in to people who are saying I'm excusing his behavior. I am not. For the threats, grow up. I do apologize if this will trigger someone because that's not what I meant to do. Eric's behavior is inexcusable and there's so much work to be done for him. So here's some relevant comments about what other people think. So Stolen Fire said, he owes you an apology too. As heartfelt and sincere as whatever he's posting anonymously is, he thought you were of poor moral character, that you were capable of cheating on him and then passing off another man's child as his.
Yes.
That you were capable of deception enough to somehow alter DNA test results to continue to lie. Someone who could do that is a terrible person, and he thought you were capable of that. OP responded and said, he has apologized profusely to me. I didn't accept it at first because I thought it was BS, but after our counseling session, I decided to give him some grace and allow him the opportunity to show he meant it. I do want him to address his biases because while they may have started off as insecurities, according to him, they have taken a life of their own from his job. And here is the final update, October 21st.
Whoa.
The good news is you guys were right, and I was a dumb for believing my husband. I'm relieved at the fact racism isn't tolerated or accepted by the majority, despite you thinking I am. After my husband wrote his apology letter, he received support from people telling him that they were proud he was able to admit his racism and that he was willing to change. I was willing to work through this, seeing that other people could forgive him, blah, blah, blah. A day or two later, I was using our iPad and received a notification for a text from Mom. I looked at it and didn't recognize the conversation until I realized it wasn't my mom, it was my mother-in-law. I'm assuming my husband forgot to sign out of his Apple ID, so it was linked to his account. I read the text that mother-in-law was disappointed that I and my kids happened to be African American, and she didn't expect this for her family, but that they were tricked and we are one of the good ones. Yikes! That's so... My husband said he couldn't believe it either, but it's not my fault. My mother lied about laying with one of them and that he was going to make sure our kids don't become one of the bad ones always on the news. My husband still kept his attitudes that I previously posted per other text with his mother. I realized there was no hope for him to change, so I'm leaving my husband now. I keep in contact with one of the wives of my husband's ex-coworkers who moved some cities away and explained to her everything. They will allow me to stay with them until I can find some place for me and my kids since they have the room. I do have a job, so I do not rely on my husband's income. Sorry for disappointing everyone when my husband gave me the BS story in crocodile tears. In hindsight, even then, I should not have. I just wanted to believe there was hope my husband wasn't racist, but we live and learn. I will not give an update after this because I am exhausted and only thinking about my kids.
The truth revealed. The truth always reveals itself.
But we saw it coming. Like
we did. I
mean, like
we
it
did.
sucks,
but for OP.
But this dude's racist. Like, come on. But I feel really bad for OP.
Like, think about the whiplash that OP has had, right? She realizes her own father was not her father. You know, her husband accuses
so many revelations in this story for OP. It's crazy.
So many in like, what, a month or so? Like, absolutely freaking insane.
Dang, OP. Well, I hope you do some healing. I hope you're okay. What do you think? Do you think OP made the right decision? What would you have done? Put your answers in the comments below. And also, if you have a crazy story like this or just want to give us a confession or just some crazy thing that happened, you should call us. John, what's the number?
440-508-6567.
We'll talk to you soon.